Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're doing well, keeping cool. I'm not sure what day it is that you'll be watching this, but oh boy, in Vancouver, it's warm. So I thought what we would do is a little bit of yoga to cool off today. And it's kind of weird because people go to hot yoga, right, to warm up. Not so much maybe this time of year, but you can use it to cool yourself down. So a little bit of vasodilation, a little bit of opening into the armpits where we carry a lot of heat, but also breath work to help cool down. For today, you're going to really benefit from having a strap if you have one. And if you don't have a strap where you can take a nice big reach, maybe a belt, although that's a pretty long belt. You can get a ribbon or a rope or a piece of string. And if you don't have anything flexible, you can use a dowel or a broom handle or something like that. Most of the brooms these days can unscrew from the end so that you're able to just use the stick portion itself. So if you don't have any of that, I'll give you a second. You can pause the video, go run, gather what you need. And if you don't have anything at all, you can still do all the movements without it. You just might not get as much of the benefit from it. Even a towel or a blanket. Okay? Okay, welcome back. Let's start in a seated position. I'm going to sit up on this cushion, this chip foam block. And it does, for me, it just helps me release through the hips. Makes it easier to sit with a long spine. And so I encourage, pretty much everyone to do it. Just because I can sit without a block or without something underneath my hips doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be the best thing for me on any given day. This just gives me more ease. And that's the name of the game today, right? Ease and cooling. Have your strap or dowel or whatever it is that you're using nearby. We don't need it quite yet. So any sort of seated position, cross-legged, on your shins, you can have your legs outstretched, however you want to be. And then I'll invite you to close your eyes. And for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Then exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then continue breathing however feels best for you, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath feels today. Does it feel smooth? Does it feel rough? Does it feel spacious? Does it feel constricted? Simply notice. If you feel constriction or choppiness and you want to, you could gently try to lengthen through those parts of the breath, and it might help smooth it out a little bit more. But there's no need. Generally, just bringing your focus to your breath anyway will help smooth it out. You might notice the gentle rise and fall of your belly or chest. The lengthening of your spine with every inhale. And the gentle softening of the front body with every exhale. A few more breaths here. And then keeping your eyes closed if that works for you. As you inhale, start to reach your arms through center and up overhead. And exhale, gently let them float back down. Really simple. Inhale to float the arms up overhead. And exhale to release them down. And if you want, you can start to freestyle it, maybe taking the arms out to the side or one arm at a time. But inhale to lift and exhale to lower. And then for the last few breaths, return to both arms up and down through center. And at the end of your next exhale, let your arms or hands release back to your knees or thighs. Couple natural breaths. And then gently flicker your eyelids open. Change the crossing of your legs if you want to, or however you're seated. And then we're going to do a kind of breath work or pranayama called sitali. And it's a cooling breath. And it's literally as if you're trying to suck air in through a straw. So you're going to make like a little pucker with your lips, like you're sucking in through a straw. And you suck the air in through your mouth. And then exhale through your nose. So suck the air in. And you can feel how cold that air is. And the added thing that you can do if you want to is if you're able to curl your tongue, then you and then you can try sucking through that as well. But a few more rounds of breath here. The breath doesn't have to be super deep, but the elongated cooling breath can really help actually cool your core temperature down. So a few more rounds, eyes closed if you want to. I don't know, it feels a bit goofy, but last round here. And then return to your natural breath. At any point, if you're feeling too warm, even when you're not doing yoga, take a couple of those sitali breaths and feel cool, at least for a little bit. All right, grab your strap and find whatever comfortable seated position you want to be in. You take the hands nice and wide, so quite a bit wider than shoulder width apart, and inhale the strap up overhead. And just do some gentle side bends, right and left. So really starting to open up into the side body, but also those armpits. All right, our poor armpits, we throw deodorant on, some of us, and then try to hide those armpits all day. And there's a lot of stuff going on there, muscle attachments, lymph nodes, arteries. Pause back in the center. And then depending on if you're close to a wall like me, you might need to move, but start to bring the strap back behind you a little bit. We're just going to pause here, kind of like the prow of a ship. And maybe take a little rock from side to side here with the strap behind you. Now at any point, if what we're doing feels like it's too much on your shoulders, you feel pain, back out of it. And again, you can be doing all of this without the strap or without the dowel. And then come back to center. Okay. And then some gentle shoulder flossing. Bring the strap forward and then up and then maybe back and forward, or maybe you go all the way back and then back up. And you can make this more challenging or a deeper stretch, I suppose I should say, by moving your hands closer together. If it feels like it's a lot or at any point your elbows need to bend, then take the hands wider or move away from the wall behind you so you don't feel like you're going to knock a ton of books onto your noggin. We usually do this standing, but it's fine to do it seated. Okay, and then pause back in the middle, couple breaths, just let the shoulders get a bit of a break. It's a lot of shoulder work, but hopefully the idea is that we can open it up. In traditional Chinese medicine, as well as in the yoga tradition, the energy lines or the chi lines for the heart and the lungs run through the arms and the chest. So in theory, if we get into all these areas, it can help everything in that area flow, and then maybe you feel a bit cooler. Anyway, that's one idea. Okay. So again, if you need to change up the position that you're seated in, all good. Take hands nice and wide, not quite as wide as before. So maybe think outer shoulder width apart wider. Bring the strap up overhead and then bend your elbows, not tension on the strap or the dowel. Bring it just till it reaches the nape of the neck and then back up. So pull apart. And you might need to change the distance between your hands so that you don't feel pain in your elbows, or so it feels like a comfortable, albeit strenuous, thing to do. Last one here. And then shake it out a little bit. Okay. And then bring your right hands to the floor and then trap the strap underneath it. And then make sure you have enough space on the left hand. You're going to lean to the right a little bit, but then get in to that left arm. You're going to swing it forward and behind. So if you have issues with your left shoulder, then maybe you go with less range of motion, or maybe you bend your elbow a little bit, right? Whatever you need to do. Maybe you take a wider grip on the strap. And then pause back in center, couple breaths. Feel whatever you feel from one side to the other. Notice whatever you notice. And then we'll switch sides. I'm going to put the buckle side down so I don't keep whacking myself in the head with the buckle. So left palm comes to the floor, trap the strap underneath that hand, and then right arm just makes these sort of arcs forward and back. Totally normal if you have a bun in your hair to keep flicking your hair with the strap. And you could be more upright, you could be folded over sideways a little bit more. Last couple breaths here. Also super normal for one side to feel more free in this motion or this movement. Okay, and then come back to center again, couple breaths. Feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. And then flicker your eyelids open. Make your way to hands and knees. Move the strap off or dowel off to the side for the moment. We will be using it again. But set up for a little bit of cat and cow. So knees underneath hips, toes tucked or untucked. Let's start to move through these sort of spinal flexion and extension. Dip the belly into cow and exhale round into cat. A few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. And then on your next inhale, come back to center, little draw of belly button to spine. If you have a pillow or something that can come underneath your head, particularly if you have a hard floor like I do, that can be really useful. And then from here, plant your left hand. Inhale, pick the right arm up to the side, maybe lift it up to the sky. Exhale, thread underneath the left. Don't get too comfy here though. Press back into that left hand. Inhale the right arm out to the side or up to the sky. And exhale, thread. And one last time. Inhale up. Exhale, thread. This time, settle down towards the earth a little bit more. You might bring the back of the shoulder to the floor, the side of the head. This is where a pillow or a block could be useful to either cushion you or bring the floor closer to you. And then that left hand might just stay where it is. Some people enjoy draping it behind their low back. You could bring the heel of the hand into the crease of that right wrist and kind of push away to get more traction on the right side. You could walk the left fingertips up to the top edge of the mat or even over to the right and open up into that left armpit. Couple more breaths wherever you need to be. And then bring your left hand back to the floor underneath your shoulder. Press into it. Inhale, unwind. And then come back to hands and knees, little wiggle or shake or cat and cow, just to release anything that might have got stuck. And then we'll switch sides. Inhale the left arm out or up. And exhale, thread to the right. Press back into that right hand. Inhale up. And exhale, thread. One more time here. Inhale up. Exhale, thread. And then start to settle down again towards the earth. Maybe the back of the shoulder comes down. The side of the head, you might cushion underneath your head or shoulder. Right arm maybe stays there, or maybe you start to play with it. You can bring the heel of the hand into the crease of that left wrist. Maybe you drape it behind your low back, or find some other place for it to go. So wherever you need to go, a few more breaths here. And then bring your right palm back to the floor underneath your shoulder. Press into it. Inhale, back to center. Shake out your arms. A little cat and cow or a wiggle. And then, however feels best for you, step forward into your standing forward fold. As always, this is a fantastic place to bring the floor up to you, particularly if your hamstrings are feeling tight these days. Give yourself space. Give yourself the permission to use props, right? For me, I want to be able to practice yoga my whole life. I don't want to burn out in a few glorious years of just reaching fingertips to the floor. Maybe you want even more support. Bring your elbows to your knees or thighs. Maybe you want a bit more traction through your spine. So clasp opposite elbows with hands. A few more breaths here. Let's take one round of sitali breath here. So that's sucking in through a straw. And then bend your knees. Head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. Maybe you grab your strap or your dowel before you stand up and bring it with you as you slowly make your way to standing. Couple loops of your shoulders, hop back and down. A little wiggle, noodle or release. Hey, standing. If you don't have your strap or your dowel, then grab it. And then take a nice wide grip on it again. Inhale, overhead. And we're just going to draw circles here. So bend the knees, round forward, over to the side, open up through the back, over to the other side, and around. So keep going the same direction. So getting a little bit more into the torso now. Again, I'm going to keep whacking myself with that buckle. And then switch directions. It doesn't have to be big, right? I've got some chronic stuff through my one shoulder, so I might not be going as deep as you are. Maybe I'm going way deeper than you are, and that's okay too. Last breath here. And then come back to center. Shake it out a little bit. All right, bring your strap or your dowel behind you. And then if possible, bring your palms facing back. Little bend in the knees. Doesn't really matter how close or how narrow your hands are. You'll feel it out when we get there. Belly bend to spine. And then come into your forward fold. So hips go back as you fold forward. Okay, the natural thing here is for the shoulders to dip forward towards the floor, right? So retract the shoulder blades, right? Glide them toward each other. And then elbows can be bent or straight. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you start to de-weight the strap from your low back. Maybe you reach it up to the sky. Maybe you start to reach it to the wall in front of you. But don't let the shoulders dip forward, right? Keep that active retraction of the shoulder blades toward each other. You could sway a little bit from side to side here as well if you wish. Maybe you take your hands narrower, maybe you take them wider. If you don't have a strap, you could just clasp your hands, elbows bent or straight. Last breath here. Okay, bring the strap or the dowel back to your low back and then switch the grip. So if you were palms facing up, now take palms facing down. Again, get the activation going through the shoulders, wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, and then inhale. Maybe you lift the dowel up a bit. Maybe you lift it up to the sky. Maybe you lift it forward. But again, don't let the shoulders dip. You can sway a little bit from side to side, getting a really long hamstring stretch here. So knees can be deeply bent. Last couple breaths. And then slowly bring the strap back to the low back. And then gently release the arms, release the dowel or the strap off to the side. For 3 breaths, fingertips to shins, inhale, little partway lift, maybe do sitali. And then exhale, let it go. 2 more. And then bend your knees enough that you can bring your palms flat to the earth. Step back to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. And then depending where you are on your mat, you might need to shift your hands forward or walk your knees back, but then shift your weight forward into your hands so that you're in plank, either from your knees or from your toes. Don't worry, we won't be here long. And then you can always come down to your knees first. Exhale, lower all the way down to the earth. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the earth, so much so you feel your kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall, belly bend to spine. And then inhale, reach your heart forward and up, baby cobra. Back of the neck stays long, unless you have to look at your screen to see me. And then tuck the chin back under. Option to stay here, or maybe you grab your strap or your dowel, or even just clasp your hands behind your back. Palms could face up or down, whatever feels best on your shoulders. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might reach your feet so far back that they de-weight as well. Hug everything towards the center line. And then reach your fingertips, your knuckles, your toes back even further. And then exhale, release all the way down. Let go of the strap or the dowel. One cheek to the floor. Deep belly breaths to release through the low back. And then roll over onto your back. Once you're down, hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. First option is to just stay here, hugging your knees in toward you. Second option is to interlace your fingers or even clasp your hands over top of your shins to deepen the flexion a little bit more. Maybe you start to feel a release in the low back. Next option is to gently curl your nose toward your knees without excess tension in the shoulder or neck. Last option, press the shins away from you to round through the spine. Getting a really nice release for the lumbar spine. And then slowly come back down to the earth. Little rock from side to side. Let's move into a twist. So take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit. And then exhale, lower your knees to the left. So your knees could be stacked. Legs could be crossed. You might take a single knee twist. But as gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. Again, opening into that right armpit just a little bit more, flushing the heat out of that area. And then on your inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis and your spine. Take your left arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips left a little bit to start with, and then exhale, lower your knees to the right. Again, as gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. And it doesn't have to be the same variation that you did on the first side. Last couple breaths here. And then on your inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis and your spine. And then draw your knees toward you. Take them wide toward your shoulders or armpits. You might rock a little bit from side to side here. You could stay here for your happy baby, or maybe you kick your feet up to the sky. You grab the backs of the thighs or somewhere along your legs, your ankles, or your feet. And again, maybe you rock a little bit from side to side. You could extend one leg or the other. You might even play with rounding through the spine and then extending. And if there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, some sort of posture or meditation, please feel free to take it. Otherwise, think about where you'd like to go for your final resting pose. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight, maybe your arms way out to the side to release that little bit of extra heat. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation, honestly, wherever you can feel at ease. And there is no rush at all to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for a few breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh. The breath away. Those sighs let go of the deep heat as well. Inhale and exhale, sigh. Last one. And let go of your breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your face or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.